Hey guys, what I forgot to add is what happens when you have a negative in front. So let me do that in a separate video. All right, so we have here example negative 3x squared plus 10x plus 8. Oh, and before I get the question, I think some of your homework problems has like x squared with negative in front. Just imagine that as a negative 1, okay? So just imagine that as a negative 1. All right, so we're going to still follow the same steps, but it might not be clear, so let me just make sure it's clear. So A is negative 3, B is 10, and C is 8. I'm going to take the negative 3 and multiply it with positive 8. So I get x squared plus 10x minus 24. Okay, so my capital C, or my new C, is negative 24. So I'm trying to see what multiplies to negative 24. That adds to 10. Okay, well, maybe I think, 6 and 4. Now, the problem with 6 and 4 does add to 10, but that does not multiply to negative 24, so that one's not right. So then you do a little bit more searching, and you'll do negative 12 and 2. That would get you negative 10. So 12 and negative 2, that'll get you positive 10. So the numbers you want to choose is 12 and negative 2. All right, so now I got 12, x plus 12, and then x minus 2. Now I'm going to divide negative 3. Very important, I'm dividing negative 3 on both sides. So now I have x, and I'm going to rewrite it like this, okay? Plus 4 over negative 1. And the only reason I'm doing this is to show you what I need to do. Over here, it's just x, double negative becomes positive, 2 over 3. All right. So when you reduce a negative, and let's say it was negative 1 you divided by, you do not, unless they cancel out, you do not want to make the negative disappear. So I'm going to leave it as negative 1. Sometimes you ask me, like, does it matter where the negative is on the top or the bottom or in front? Usually, 99% of the time, it doesn't matter. This is the one time it does. So because I divided by negative 3 here, this is 4 over negative 1. Because the 4 did not take out the negative 1. This is negative 2 divided by negative 3. So the negative 1 in front that's kind of invisible gets canceled out to a positive. That's why there's no negative here while there's still a negative here. So I'm purposely leaving it like a fraction like that. Why? Well, it forces me to move, because I don't like fractions, to slide back over here. So my final answer is negative x plus 4 over here, 3x plus 2. So it's very important to make sure when you reduce a negative, or when you divide by a negative 1, and assuming there's no negative on top, it just stays like this, okay? I'm going to do one from your homework just to make sure we understand the concept. All right, so here's one from your homework, number 5, and I could foresee it being a couple of confusion points. So hopefully this helps clear out a bunch of things. So let's identify A, B, and C. A, B, and C. A, if you don't see a number, is negative 1. B, I don't see a number, so that's positive 1. And lowercase c is going to be a positive 20. My capital C is when I take negative 1 and multiply it to the other number. So x squared plus x minus 20. So I'm trying to find the things that multiply to negative 20 that add to 1. Oh, and I should say my capital C is now negative 20. So I'm trying to figure out what multiplies to negative 20 that adds to 1. And it's also important, here's another lesson to it, actually, that's kind of useful. remember, if you multiply it to a negative, even though you're adding a positive and negative, when you add a positive and negative, it's like subtracting. So another way you could word your problem is, what two numbers subtract to 1? Now you'll do a couple, 20 and 1, no. 2 and 10, no. 3 and, well, 3 doesn't go anywhere. 4 and 5. Well, 5 and negative 4 should equal 1. So my two numbers are 5 and negative 4. So I have x plus 5 and x minus 4. Don't forget, I had an a. Even though the a in this case was negative 1, that still counts as an a. So I have to divide by negative 1 divided by negative 1. Since these are both negative, the negatives get canceled out. So it just becomes x plus 4. This, on the other hand, the negatives don't get canceled out. So it's x plus 5 divided by negative 1. So I have to move that negative 1 in front, and it becomes negative x plus 5. I think here in this lesson, the negatives are going to trip you up more than they should. It's going to trip you up more than it should. It's kind of very basic. I feel that it's very simple. You just take the negative 1 and move it in front. But if you're having trouble, please don't afraid to ask. This is a totally new concept. So what's simple to me might not be simple to you. And again, I'll have a student session for you guys for this lesson. Okay, I hope this helps. And use this to help you with the homework tonight.